The big thing I look at is how big is your business without the people in it?
It's not.
Nothing.
It's nothing.
It's really
okay,
nothing.
we ready? We can't waste all this shit.
Yeah, we're just dropping bombs.
From wine country to cottage country, real estate is all about lifestyle. I'm Andrew Perry, and welcome to That Fine Life. All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of That Fine Life podcast, the podcast where we interview realtors, entrepreneurs, business owners, and we ask the real stories, the hard-hitting questions. No, just kidding, Rob. Don't worry. This is the podcast where we find what inspires business owners and how they keep motivated and how they got to where they are. And I have a very special guest. What is this, episode 3? 3. Yeah, Sam says 3. So Rob Anzit is my guest here today. Thanks for coming on the show, buddy. I really appreciate it. We've been working together for a while.
5 years.
Yep. And actually, it's almost been a year exactly since our last photo shoot. So
I saw that coming up on Facebook.
Yeah. So we got to do something about that. But Rob is an entrepreneur, photographer, but more recently getting into his own media company, Mossy Media.
Yeah.
And then, you're managing socials for some really, really big companies. Obviously, you've been doing photos and, other projects for really, really big companies as well. But let's kind of, since our last shoot, we haven't really done anything together in terms of work-wise. So fill us in. What's the new media company? What's your focus now?
Yeah, no worries. It's been a while. I feel like our last shoot was a campaign Kickstarter for a watch company.
Was that the last one? No.
Yeah.
No. It was the family.
Oh, family photo shoot.
The family photo shoot that we didn't go anywhere because of someone.
Yeah.
Although I was allowed to.
I want to say I don't do family photo shoots, only for Andrew.
Yeah, well, for Andrew, that's true.
Let's put that out
probably for that reason.
Yeah.
So Rob did an amazing job as always. He knows my style. He knows what I like. And let's just say Gabe wasn't.
It's all right.
It's her thing. She doesn't like any photos of herself, and I told her that from the very beginning. I'm like, why are you making me waste Rob Anzit's time?
I think you need to book a session. I think you need to book a session just for her and her and I to connect so that the next time we shoot, I know her angles.
Yeah.
I know how to warm her up to the shoot, because really at the end of the day, anyone can shoot you, but it's the comfort level you feel in front of a camera.
That's true. But she's also Italian. So it's like I came home the other day and Kate had a whacked out haircut. I'm like, what is this? A haircut. I'm like, no, that's not what that is. She wants to do everything herself. So she's no problem taking a camera and setting it up on a tripod and shooting herself with her belly out, her pregnancy photos for her own stuff. I'm like, what are you doing? But anyways, the photos I thought were amazing. I still was allowed to post the ones of me and my sons.
I think the back screen of your cell phone is the photo.
It still is.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
See, good memory.
Yeah, it still is. So anyways, so what's new? Because as you know, people who are watching, they might know Rob or listing, by the way, iTunes, Spotify. They
nice
might know.
Plug.
Yeah,
love it.
They might know Rob Anzit as the photographer.
Yeah.
But is that the Rob Anzit of today?
No, actually, I would say it's evolved in the last 7 months due to an injury, Achilles tendon. The Achilles tendon kind of helped me to progress to being a mentor for others, and launching a 6-week program called Weddings to Brands. So helping wedding photographers shift into branding work. And then during the pandemic, I would say 2 years ago, my wife and I, Devin, launched a marketing company to support locals to be seen online on social, leveraging content like mobile content to save costs and having consistency online. So that company turned into Mossy Media Marketing, which we've been in business for 2 years now.
Yeah.
And then I guess we'll call it my photography business is just underneath my name, Rob Anzit.
Yeah.
Or my media company, Anzit Media Inc. But a few companies, 3 companies.
Yeah.
So I'm mainly shifting more into the commercial realm, as you know, and mainly going more into mentoring for creators and helping them break the struggle, I guess, or finding clarity in their business, really, of fundamentals that actually work to make them money and not just shooting for free constantly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sam doesn't know anything about that, do you? Shooting for free.
We shot for free, I think, once.
Yeah.
5 years ago.
I don't think
I
so.
think I reached out to you, or you reached out to me.
No. I'm sorry. Yes, because I love how I'm the guinea pig for some stuff, and I think it was I love it. Or Sam's like, "Hey, we got this new camera. Do you want to shoot?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's do it." Yeah. No, it was Millworks, right? You were doing a studio.
Oh,
thing.
wow. Yeah. We were advertising for Millworks Creative Studio and doing a shoot. And I was like, hey, do you want free photos? I just need you as a guinea pig to advertise, you know, that creators can use this studio space in multiple different ways. And they hired me. And I think that's how we first started. And then you were like, I just love moody photos and moodiness and like that edginess, and then turned into like almost, I think every like quarterly or something, every couple months we would shoot something new.
The way I like to do it was like once almost a season.
Yeah.
You know, so you could get different colors because Niagara on the Lake had so many different colors. When it's winter, it's winter. You know, it's winter wonderland. When it's fall, all the colors match the colors of the town.
Yeah.
Like the buildings and everything just kind of pops. But what I kind of like where your direction of the business is going right now is very similar to how my business is run, where I market to other agents. My social media is of that kind of, professional to professional.
Yeah. You're becoming an educator for others.
Exactly. And what I found is something very similar to what you just said, where it's important for, and I said this and it got kind of deep, but like everybody has one life. And I feel like there's so many people, especially pre-internet, that wind up to be 65, 70 years old and like, you know what, shit, I didn't really do anything I wanted to do. I, worked in a factory or I stayed a teacher for way too long until I was retired. Where if they had somebody more accessibility to people like you who want to share the value, then people can start to become successful in our business. So how are the ways that, you attract people to you, or how do you get them started, and get involved in one of your programs? How does that look?
Well, one, it depends on where they're watching my content.
Right.
This as like content spread out in so many different places.
So you're kind of starting online first, right?
Yeah,
From your social
definitely
page.
online social channels. TikTok's growing my following on all platforms, but my email list.
Yeah.
So I would say social, if they find me and see it behind the scenes and educating them on how much a photo shoot costs to me, or educating them on the gear I use, then I get questions and then I lead them to either my website, which gives them freebies, and then I collect emails and kind of market them that way.
Okay. Are you doing any like tying that into longer form videos like on YouTube at all yet, or?
So the plan in the next couple months is to run a podcast and a YouTube channel to kind of more cater and kind of piggyback the education system.
But do you think, because I've seen your tutorial videos and like what the gear videos, don't you think people can kind of learn what they need to learn from like an equipment standpoint? Or like, what I really like those is like the tutorials on like shutter speed and like that, this and that, and this and that. So do you think you could get a lot of value from those shorter videos? Like, or is it more of a way of like a top of funnel kind of thing where, okay, great, you've put out this piece of value and in turn they want to DM you or something?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the whole thing that I'm doing is trying to steer away from gear.
Right. And I didn't mean gear, but like any types of business tips. How do you charge a client?
I think business tips comes as the bigger growth, but also educating them on the value they have and what they're not charging has grew my business a lot quicker, because I think for a lot of people, they don't really realize what they're charging comparing it to someone else unless they're doing the back end research, unless they're really asking the questions going, Andrew, like, what do you charge for this photo shoot? And if you're not open, they have no idea.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, Andrew, I'll charge you $150 when I'm over here charging $1,500. And they're like, how do you get there? And then that process grows into, well, if Rob's charging $1,500, how is he doing that? What is he doing what is he doing different than me? And how does he land clients at 1,500 when I'm finding clients that want to just shoot for free? So there's a huge, huge barrier between the unknown and what I know to teach you exactly what you need to know.
Interesting. And do you think somebody who's just starting out in their photography business or videography business can start off there?
100%. I think the concept that I have on social, it's called free to fee. So starting off with a free concept of working with Andrew Perry, doing a personal branding shoot, getting comfortable with him, showcasing what you're capable of. And then the next concept is Andrew coming back to you and be like, oh, I love that. Like, what does it cost for the next photo shoot? And you're like, cool, no problem. I have $350. Like, that's what I want. Yeah. Or going to the next client and be like, I'm going to utilize Andrew's following and offer him a free photo shoot so that he posts me and then he advertises his photos to tens of thousands of real estate agents who need photos. And then bam, that turns into a free to fee concept.
Yes. And you know what? I have to kind of be careful of that now because, you know, you would get so many people watching you and because again, I'm not doing anything groundbreaking. I'm just doing it. Like I'm doing the photo shoots, I'm doing the podcast, I'm doing the videos, obviously. And you know, I think if there are people out there that do a good job, they deserve those shout outs. Totally. But you've got to be careful, like from a realtor standpoint or a business owner standpoint, before you start shouting those people out, you got to make sure that they're doing a good job on all ends. Sometimes I get too excited and, you know, like, wow, look at this piece of content. It looks great. But if you don't have any back end systems to follow up on that professional quality, then, you know, all of a sudden your reputation starts to get tarnished. So is that something that you help as well? Like from, like, I don't know if you use a CRM or an email list
like
or
a system
Canva.
program?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm pretty old school with my techniques.
We got a black book and with an address. It's,
follow up with Andrew today.
Dave, find Andrew Perry's contact. 1 minute.
Yeah. I feel like there is a system that I have. It could be a lot better. Yeah. Obviously, it needs to evolve with time. But I would always follow up every 3 months with my clients to be like, hey, we did a photo shoot 3 months ago. I know the season's changing. Let's follow up and do a new shoot. And it turns into like, oh, you know what? I do need content. My content's stale, or I've gone through 25 photos and I need new photos. And that's what turns into like retainer clients that a lot of photographers don't realize they can make with the business or any business. Videography, podcast is like, oh, I have a retainer client. Every 3 months I get paid and I have to do 2 photo shoots. Or every month I get paid and I have to do 3 photo shoots. So that turns into like a system on its own. But for me, I'm very old school. Email marketing, Excel spreadsheets to keep everyone organized, follow-ups. My invoice system has reminders for payment. Ask about
your invoice too, right?
Invoice system, 50% deposit, like things that are in my head are the basics are not the basics for some just starting out being like, I want a 50% deposit. And they're like, whoa, that seems like a lot to ask for. And I was like, well, if they're a serious client, they'll know that it's important to lock that date in for you and for them because time is valuable. Every time and piece is worth so much to you. Well,
and it also helps I wouldn't say the word perception, but it helps build that professional persona that, you know, holds the client or the subject a little bit more accountable to keep that date. Because nothing's worse than like, I sent one of Sam's guys to Tiffany's to school, and unfortunately her little boy got sick, so she had to cancel. I forgot to tell Johnny, and Johnny showed up. He's like, "Hey man, you coming?" I'm like, "Shit." So, but obviously, and I'm not saying like
you build trust at the end of the day.
We have a different relationship, of course, but like had I had $100 on the line for that small shoot, or $500 on the line, but Johnny, so sorry. Before you get there, we have to cancel. Blah blah blah. You know what I mean? And then
48-hour notice.
Exactly, and he could have adjusted or booked another client, which I think is the most important thing that people don't understand is that we're not doing this. You know, the deposit structure or, hey, here's my time slot. You work within it. We talked about this on episode 1. Sam was like, well, how do you make those types of decisions? And for me, it was simple. Once you get to a certain level in your business, you book your time first and everybody else has to fit within it. And if they don't, then you're not really living your life of freedom.
Totally.
Right.
And that also goes with who the client is and how busy their schedule is. Because
if it's David Beckham, it's a little bit different.
Well, there is certain clients that I have to be really open because I know their budget scale is more on a higher level. So I have to be like willing to be like, you know what? No worries. I'll open my calendar for you because I know how valuable your time is. I appreciate your time. I want you to build that trust level.
Of course.
But also my professionalism is so high that I want to keep that going with you.
Okay. Yeah. So that's a really good point because I mean, it's the same in our business. It's, it's not like that. I don't want to work with buyers or I don't want to work with some sellers. It's just that we can offer you the same level of service without me being there.
Totally.
You have all of my teammates and systems that have been modeled off of the reason I even got in front of you.
I want Andrew Perry though.
Right. Yes.
But that's the downfall.
But the thing is that you do get me.
Yeah.
You just get a version of me and I'm available at any time. But there are some clients like the ones that are in a 0.5 kilometer radius from our office, which is Niagara-on-the-Lake, that, if those I'll make adjustments for. And obviously my close clients and other referrals that I've met along the way, because not only is it important to keep that image and professionalism with your clients, but also the people who've referred you. So for example, if BMW says, hey, Rob, I've got a really good client. It's from IBM or HP, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where 100%, that's a little bit different. Or, hey,
totally.
Somebody high up at, I don't know, I can't think of a company right now, Nike, says, hey, Rob, thank you very much. It's my cousin's nephew's brother's birthday. Would go, yeah, sure. You know what I mean? So I understand. So while we're on that topic, you've worked with some big brands. Who have you worked with?
Gorvy in Canada, Sigma Canada, Outdoorsy, Blundstone, a few watch brands.
Yeah. Did you work with
Honda
Thursday
Canada?
Too? Did you do Thursday as well?
Thursday boots. Yeah. Thursday boots.
That was the first time I heard of them.
Yeah.
And now they're everywhere.
Yeah. Thursday boots.
But
Henry's as well too. The camera store. Local store.
Did you not shoot for BMW too? Or was that
no, Honda.
Okay. Or maybe you just shot your old BMW or something.
That was more of like a campaign of like, I want to pitch them on these ideas. Okay. So I'm going to shoot my own like BMW spec ad.
You know what? I did that with Mercedes. I tagged them so much and they finally used one of my photos in their marketing.
There you go.
Yeah. So how were those companies approached by you or did you approach them? Or? Wait, that was the same question. Did they approach you or did you
approach them? Yeah, no, it's a fair question. I would say half and half, to be honest. Some of the big clients definitely reached out to me and they're like, hey, we want to work with you. We've been watching you online. We appreciate your support as well, too, if I'm tagging them.
Yeah.
So that's a huge thing. Some of them I've pitched myself using a pitch template and kind of using a marketing technique.
Yeah.
Poking the bear a few times to get them to wake up and then saying, hey, I'm here. This is the problem I see. This is a solution I have for you.
Yeah.
Are you interested in working with me? And they're like, where have you been? Like,
can I ask you?
Yeah.
Because I tried that when I first moved into this area, but I offended a lot of people. Because
what happened there?
Yeah. So I reached out. I'm like, hey, you guys have an amazing product, a great brand. You've got great visibility from the street. I didn't even know you were open. It was when I was trying to help businesses before I finally got my real estate license. I was trying to help businesses grow online, something similar, actually very similar, except I didn't hold the camera. And I approached them. I said, hey, look, you're a brand new winery. Nobody knows you're open. I just saw an open sign at the end of the driveway. That was it.
Yeah.
And I kind of offended them. And, so I was like, okay, maybe I need a different.
What's the approach? Yeah.
Maybe I.
We feel that with our marketing company because we reach out to local wineries. That is some of our biggest clients, is the winery industry. And it's kind of like you have to build trust. It goes back to building trust, following the count, showing the engagement.
Yep.
building it over 2 weeks before you kind of go into their DMs and be like, hey, guess what? Like, you guys are falling short. And we've landed clients that way to say, hey, we love your brand. We support it. We buy your wine. We've stopped by last week. My wife and I will just stop by, take some photos to use for the pitch template, and be like, we want to support you in a way that's actually going to grow your business and sell wine bottles. Are you interested in working with us? And it turns into be like, oh, we had no idea, or our friends are running the social media, or no one's running the social media. So we need help. We need leverage. We need whatever you're offering. It turns into, okay, cool, social management, content creating, email campaigns, so on and so forth, that it grows into, you know, a larger scale business with some of these smaller clients.
So are you doing all of that now? So you're managing social and all of that?
Taking the content, email campaigns, all of that right now with Mossy Media.
Interesting. That's really cool. So
we have one employee. That's it. And me and
the doc.
No, real employee.
Okay.
Yeah. But that's all we need to get. I kind of want to say get shit done in a timely manner. Organization is key. We talked about management as well too, and using programs, and that's big on me. Before I even launched any brand, I'm like, what do they need, and how much work do I have to put in before my employee gets involved?
Right.
And that takes days or weeks to be like, okay, I built you a system. All you have to do is follow A to B to Z to whatever, finish that system and do it right. And we'll be good and you get paid.
Right. So, I mean, it's kind of, you know, it's funny because I heard a quote when I was younger that, you know, all business is the same. It's just the products that are different. Totally. And so because it's the same thing. It's like, as soon as I meet a client, it's the introductory call, meeting, appointment, whatever. And then all the information is passed off to the team, and then it's circulated through each little system, and then it's on autopilot from there. Yeah. I was going to say something. There's another brand that so I play hockey with this guy, and we all call him B-Man.
Oh, Honeyfields?
Yeah.
Yeah, Honeyfields is great.
So I noticed, like, out of nowhere, because when I used to buy cases of honey, like cases and cases of honey. I love supporting local. And it just so happened to be really great honey. And one day, my wife, which was like, I don't know, market or something, brought home this little flyer. I'm like, where have I seen that before? And then I check out their Instagram, and I'm like, that was Rob Anzit's design. Like, are you doing the graphic design?
The marketing. So as of right now, the thing that we've learned,
providing?
The thing that we learned with Honeyfields, because every client is 3 months contract, and they can either do it on their own or keep going with us. We gave too much.
Okay.
So we gave too much. We educated too much. We supplied them with all the goods to be like, you can run your own business. And that's, you know what, for our company, we don't mind that. We want to see everyone succeed. If you need to save money, save money. Yeah. That's what we created, like, mobile content for, shooting cell phone photos and videos with our cell phone, edit them really high end, like make them look great. But at the end of the day, we gave too much, and they're doing it on their own. They're killing it. Now they're crushing it. And they're seeing sales from it. And that was a big thing on us to be like, we're super proud of them at the end of the day. We want them to succeed, and they could come back to us and be like, hey, we need a photo shoot done. We need a video shoot done. And that's not going to hurt us. Like,
but is
at
that
the end of the day.
maybe now, maybe it's too much work, but is this now maybe a potential business avenue where you can, like, pick brands from scratch, get them started up, and maybe at a longer term now, but you know what I mean? Or is the focus...
That for me is consulting with brands. So I do consulting for marketing companies or for even brands, photography brands, to be like, hey, I have a business plan for you. I can do this, this, and this, but you have to book me on a weekly call. And then it's structured that way. So for some of my clients, they're like, hey, I want to pick your brain. I instantly read pick my brain. And this goes for all creators out there that jump into my DMs to be like, I want to pick your brain. Please don't use that. Please don't say pick your brain. It just turns into be like, I'm going to charge you a consulting fee because you want to pick my brain to make money. Yeah. And that's okay. But if you want to say, do you want to catch up for a coffee? And like, I'd love to like chat. There's got to be
your whole business plan in a binder.
There's got to be some kind of give and take here. Of course, like if I was like, Andrew, I want to get into real estate, I would be like, I'm either going to pay you or I can provide a photography service for you to kind of offset that cost.
Right. Or you're like, Andrew, I want to sell my house, and then you take all the information I give you and sell it yourself.
Well, that too. Yeah. I mean, different. But there is a lot of people in my DMs being like, I want to pick your brain. And to me, I'm just agree. Yep. You just want free information to make money off me. And that's not fair to me. That's what my course is for.
Course. If you want to learn. That's a good segue, because that's what I was going to start talking about. So now you're working on a course. Now, like that consulting call, are you going to work that into your course? Let's start from the beginning. What is your course?
So the course is called Weddings to Brands.
Yeah.
It's a 6-week mastermind program.
Yep.
For all creators. The name will change. So whenever this podcast comes out, it will change. It's going to be updated to something a little bit more generic, but it helps wedding photographers get into branding. Or if you're a photographer not making it full time, I help you to relieve that stress and teach you all the fundamentals to go full time and charge the right amount to have a full time living, or to find freedom, like you mentioned, like just having some kind of benefit with it. But yeah, 6-week intensive program. We do group calls as well every Thursday, and then I'm giving them 3 1-hour calls with me individually to go after any isolated problems they have.
Right. So is that like from a business or an entrepreneur's standpoint, or a coach's standpoint, how does that kind of structure work? Now, is there like a Bible, a coaching Bible that tells you like, okay, like, because for somebody who just has a landing page and maybe a couple of videos, that's not necessarily going to get them returning clients. So do you have a process for how to kind of navigate somebody from the beginning all the way
through a program? If I were to teach you to say like, Andrew, let's build a program together.
Yeah.
So there's one website called Kajabi that teaches you how to build your online business.
Right.
One of my mentors, Joey Spears, he helped me through my process to kind of build my system for me, and saying, okay, you need to write your script. You need to figure out 6 big touch points on what they're going to learn. You need to film your videos and then put them into Kajabi. You need to figure out a payment plan. So it kind of like walked me through. There was also like a few other people like Andrew Bentley who helped me through like the copywriting and hook statements and all that. There's a team, obviously, and this is what we kind of spoke about I probably wouldn't have done it by myself.
Yeah.
If there wasn't other people supporting me to guide me and to help me to be like, you need to actually do this, this, and this to get the job done quicker, more efficient. And that's what my system's about. And teaching is like, if you want to go full-time photography, I have the system that I know worked to help me grow my business to 6 figures as a photographer or more, and grow another business and do all that stuff. So yeah.
How important is it to be niche in that whole situation, like wedding photographers?
I think it goes like, if you're in the wedding industry, it's like Jumanji. Once you're in, you can't escape. That is it. I literally say that because I was in the wedding industry.
Yeah.
And, you know, for 6 months, you are every weekend working. Every email has to get answered super quick. It's so time consuming. It is draining, and your body takes a toll. But for everyone else, I really don't think you need to be you need to have a niche as a photographer, videographer, anything like that. You just need to solve problems. You need to figure out why does Andrew need to hire me to take photos? What am I doing differently, or what problems can I help him solve if I offer something in a pitch template?
Interesting. I like that. In what I like about, and then here's a little tip for you is, not for you, but for them, is that social media provides all of that information for you. You know what Andrew wants. You know what the client wants, because they either got it and they need to take it to the next level, or they don't got it and they need to get started. Yeah. And I think one of the fun things is like, and I shot you out. Shouted you out.
Shouted.
Shut. Anyways, I was at the Buzz conference, and I had like a whole slide on you, essentially. I said, it's about how to find your videographer or photographer.
Oh, the motorcycle.
Yeah, the motorcycle story.
Yeah.
So you just basically, if you can,
Thank you for that, by
of
the way.
course, and I even said your name too, with another photographer sitting right beside me. So there you go.
I think the name was cut out for that reason.
Yeah, but it's one of those things where if you do good work, I'm going to shout you out no matter who I'm working with at the time. But one of the things is that, you can find information on not just your own clients, but who you're going to hire as well. So that's why I think it's so important that, because you did say something before you came on the podcast. I don't do this anymore. I don't do that anymore, because although it's a paycheck, it doesn't fulfill your brand needs, and it doesn't do what you want. And if even if you did it, you're like, just don't tag me. Just don't.
Yeah. Yeah. And
right,
that's fine.
Yeah.
That's totally fine. And I think that's one of the biggest problems as creators in my industry or around me have the hardest thing to do is to actually say no.
Yeah.
And what I keep preaching to everyone is if you start saying no, you're going to get the right client. You're going to say yes. And the budget's going to be on point to what you actually want to make.
Right.
And it sucks because at that point you're like, no, I've got to take everything. Yeah. Everything matters. And then you're left feeling like, oh, this has no substance to my life. Like I have no purpose in what I create anymore, and I'm not fulfilled, and I have no creative juice, and I'm burnt out because I'm doing the wrong things over and over. That's why I said literally at the beginning of the podcast when you're like, hey, family photos. I'm like, Andrew, you can't say that in this podcast because there are people literally waiting. If I guarantee I would love to test this out.
This was years ago, by the way.
I would love to test this out tomorrow and put out like family photo shoot, $350, and see how many people book me. Because it would be fascinating to be like, I thought you weren't doing this, or I didn't know you were still doing this, because I don't advertise it. I don't want to be associated with it unless I know you and you're a good friend. I'm okay with that because it doesn't fulfill me. It doesn't fill my needs and my goals.
And that's what I love about it, because you attract the clients that you want to work with by building those portfolio, I guess
brand.
You could say it. Yeah.
Your overall brand, I think, matters the most. I think that's why we worked so well together. I saw your like overall lifestyle. I'm like, oh, he suits like I think we as bromance could be bromance. Our style was so on point together.
And now my style's even getting more on point to you. Like I'm just developing into a Rob Anzit.
But what I'm saying is like, I think your clientele over time evolves to who you want to be, and your brand matters even more to everyone around you. If you're putting garbage out there, you're going to get garbage clients. If you're putting solid content with thought and theory and practice and creativity, you're going to land an Andrew Perry to be like, oh, I found this guy and he did this cool like motorcycle shoot. I wonder if he can shoot my photos. And it turned out to be like, yes, I've worked with you 5 years.
But isn't that funny? Like how a realtor, and at the time I was still wearing like full suits. But isn't it funny how like a professional can look at a tattoo female on a motorcycle at a coffee shop and be like, that works with me. I want to hire this guy to do my real estate photography. Isn't that weird? But it's not. When I say weird, I just mean like you attract that type of person, no matter what industry it's from.
But that was my branding, right?
Yeah.
That all comes to the way I shot it, the moodiness, the like.
But what was the word I used?
I forget what
You're
word
gonna fucking kill me. But I was like, it's like sepia.
Oh yeah. I think our phone call was, do you use that like kind of filter? I'm like, what? I'm like, why would I ever? But I look back on the photos. So today, because it's a podcast day, I looked back on our first photo shoot.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, my black and white's actually changed.
Yeah.
Not my overall color tones and stuff like that, because it's still moody and I still have.
It's rich.
It's dark. Rich, but my black and whites aren't so edgy now. They're a little bit softer for like years to use. They're not like, oh, this photo is going to be used this year because it's super dark and moody. And then next year, like, oh, I can't really use that content.
Interesting.
Where you've, over time, I want to say 5 years again, but like 5 years is a long time. you've brought that content back to life and you're still repurposing it. I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
this is amazing I feel fulfilled to be like, Andrew's still using that content. That means that shit was still good 5 years ago and to this day.
And other people will start using it on my behalf too. It's like, I'm like, wait, where did you find that photo?
Billboard photo? You're like, can we use this photo? I'm like, heck yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like,
we've done a couple of billboards. The one with the pink door and the other team one.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting. So because what I've kind of liked you is that you kind of had that mentality since the beginning, since we've worked together. I was like, yeah, I want to do this. You're like, no. Like, well, what about this kind of shot? Like, I mean, you did let me slide down a handrail once, but
yeah. But that photo was like cringeworthy. I was like, no.
Yeah,
I was like, this.
I did a video shoot the other day, and like the wind was blowing like my dress shirt up.
Yeah.
Like that reminds me of that handrail slide we did. So what about the courses now? And we're going to talk about it again, just because I like this idea of helping people and building something. So what about the course what is it that somebody needs when they're starting out? Like, for me, I'm trying to think of like, let's go in this direction. For me, I'm thinking, okay, I want to start a course too. But yeah, because like, let's step away from the client expectations and talk more about like the business aspect. So for me, who wants to start a course or something
real estate
like that,
agents.
Yeah, for real estate agents. I don't know, like, for me, it's like, I really want to do it, and I think we'll have a lot of fun doing it. But then I think, like, who the hell wants to learn from me?
Yeah, I think it comes down to one, there's always someone watching you. And I preach this in my course to the creators that are like, I only have like 300 followers. I'm like, 300 followers? Imagine serving 300 followers in a day. You wouldn't be able to. Imagine serving 300 followers every day. You still would be exhausted.
Why?
That follower count is amazing. Like, don't give up on that. But I think everyone is watching you. And I think the education comes from your experience level as well, too. So a lot of my students love when I bring in real stories about client experiences or not getting paid and saying, oh, that's instantly when I started my 50% deposit because I didn't get paid after that photo shoot and I lost money.
Yeah.
I think to design your course, going to your second question, is like, you need to go with the basics. Don't overcomplicate it, and don't make it so hard for them to understand everything. It's kind of like getting your BA for your education system. They do it in 2 years. You're fast tracking those 2 years in a 6-week course. You can't give them all of it. You have to give them a few meat and potatoes here and there just to kind of make them be like, okay, I get this concept. I'm going to implement it. Oh, I get this concept. I'm going to implement it. Because if you give them too many concepts, they're not going to implement it. They're going to be exhausted. So you need to start way at the beginning, at the basics, and just build out what's the fundamentals for 6 weeks. What are the 6 topics that someone needs to know to start or needs to know to grow?
And so for other, just because this is your place, where would somebody start in your industry? Like how would do you suggest maybe they start with in-person, our hands-on kind of learning experience, or maybe just start right off with the online? Or
YouTube is
start with YouTube.
I started on YouTube.
Yeah.
Like everything I've learned is probably from YouTube and books.
Yeah.
And then either paying a mentor or paying someone for their time to experience, or if you're just starting out, literally reach out to the people that inspire you to say, can I come on set with you? I'd be willing to give you behind the scenes videos, behind the scenes photos. Like I said at the very beginning of almost this, was just like, you can't always expect free. You have to give something so that they feel like they have something tangible for themselves.
Right. But you also do, like, 'cause I've seen you share a lot of events where you're bringing other photographers on a set with you, and you have like 10 photographers there, and you're shooting a subject or something.
Yeah.
And you're just like walking them through how to shoot it.
Yeah. Yeah. that is more built up of confidence.
Mm.
A lot of photographers aren't going to reach out to you and say, "Can I shoot you?" Because they're either intimidated, they're maybe not experienced, they don't want to waste your time. So when I run a workshop
that's what it's
that's
called.
okay. A workshop I would say probably 4 years ago or something. I always try to date myself in years. I don't know why years don't exist after COVID. But I would say I ran a few wedding workshops on how to pose couples.
That's a really good idea.
Because photographers are like, "Oh, how did you do that pose?" Or "How did you get them to do that? How did you bring in that emotion to the photo?" And I'm like, "Oh, cool. Like, ding, ding, ding. I'm going to run a workshop with 20 photographers to teach them how to pose their couples, how to get comfortable with them, how to make their experience that next level." So they always come back to you and they're like, "Oh, I had a great time with Rob," or "He made me feel so comfortable in front of the camera." So that's an experience of building confidence when their firsthand experiences like teaching and learning from me firsthand in front of me.
Interesting.
I think I've done this for a long time. That's why it's like gradually just growing slowly.
But I also, just like how we talked about Gabe in the photo shoot, like how if she was a bride, just like, "I don't like that photo, Rob."
She wouldn't be my client.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? It's like, but you have to learn how to pose those people is what I'm saying.
If you were in a position to say yes to every couple.
Right.
So when I was in the wedding industry, it was, "Andrew, let's set up like a Zoom meeting to do a discovery call to make sure we're a good fit, because you're investing $5,500 in your wedding photos." And to you, when I charged more, it was, I want to make sure we are best friends before I even shoot you, because then your day is going to feel so much more at ease.
That's true. I like that a lot.
So it turns into, well, Gabe tells me I don't like photos. Well, most people don't like photos. You know how hard it is? But she's like, "No, I really don't like photos. I don't know how we're going to work together." I'd be like, "This is tight. We might not be suited for each other on your wedding day." And it's super important.
I agree. I wouldn't want to be in a wedding photographer's shoes. That's for sure. Yeah. I've been there and just fucking standing out there in the heat for 3 hours.
It's stressful. You have a lot of eyeballs. All the guests are looking at you. You're moving around.
Well, and we were at one, and Gabe and I was sitting there waiting for Gabe, and because she was in the bridal party, and like it was raining, and they're at Legends Golf Course, and they were in heels, and they were all sticking in the mud, and all their makeup was running. We're like, okay, sure, there's one really good photo, but hours of shitty memories.
Like, it turned into every wedding, the couples would be like, "Oh, can you stay and drink with us?" I'd be like, "Heck yeah! Like, that's my service. Like, if you're happy with me staying, that means I did my job to the best of my ability to have this comfort level." Or like asking me out for dinner the next day with your wife. It's like, "Do you want to join us for dinner? Like, my wife and I love you. Can your wife can come?" And I was like, "Whoa, okay, that's like a serious relationship with like my couples." I would have to be like, "No, I can't. Like, it's not what I do." But at the same time, that's
Can you bring the camera also?
That's the level of experience I always wanted to give to make that kind of money of $5,600 or $6,500 was my most expensive wedding. But that's the level of experience I gave.
Well, I love that, buddy. Well, listen, thanks for coming on. What about this part in the show where we ask to plug? So where can they find you?
Rob Anzit, ROBANZIT. Rob Anzit on all social platforms: TikTok, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Mossy Media Marketing for the marketing company for looking to have strategic marketing and social management to grow consistently. And then Weddings to Brands if you're looking to a 6-week program for mastermind program. Will change. Yeah. It's looking like it's going to be.
I put success for creators, by the way.
We did not do that. We're doing clarity for creators.
All right. I get it.
Success turns into a little bit of like a. I liked it. It felt too cocky for my personality.
I understand.
I really wanted one. I just get your opinion. I really wanted one that says, "You got this, homie."
Yeah. I like clarity because it's like it kind of clears up a lot of things in your mind in terms of systems, invoices.
It's more generic, I feel like, too, that can fit a lot of people's needs. wedding photographers, brand photographers, product photography, videography, podcasts. It's just clarity for creators. Like however you're creating your business, I'm going to give you clarity in the 6 weeks.
I love it. And we'll talk about the course off camera. See you, everybody.
See ya.